I'd like to invite your attention this morning to our scripture reading. Our reading today comes to us from the Gospel of Luke, which is in the second section of the Bible, commonly called the New Testament. The Gospel of Luke is located between the Gospel of Matthew and, it's between Mark, and John. You will find it in the Pew Bible on page 64, and you can access the reading on your tablet or smartphone via our guest internet access. So much for written scripts that are correct here. From the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verses 27 through 36. But I say to you that listen, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies. Do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, for your reward will be great. And you will be children of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Blessings on this reading of Holy Scripture this morning. Do as I say, not as I do. My mother said this phrase often. Stephanie, you'll be saying this really soon. Do as I say, not as I do, because there seems to be this special adulthood privilege that's owed to great power when these words are uttered. It seems to be like admitting that what is being done is still yet incorrect, and doing what has been said is the better path. But do as I say, not as I do. And yet we are doing something wrong when we know to say something better. I think it is a universal desire for parents to have children who make the better decisions and behave better than themselves. There's also great aspiration from older adults to the younger adults that will be able to find that way, make that path, change that direction, and correct the now obvious shortcomings and failures of the previous generations. But yet the disconnect is between one's words and one's actions, is it not? It remains there. People who tend to insist on the need for tolerance tend also to be the most intolerant. People who advocate being open-minded become closed-minded when they are right to begin with. People who talk about unconditional love turn out to be loving only with conditions in place. And it's easy to be tolerant of those people around you, as long as those people around you have the same tolerant views yourself. And it's easy to be really open-minded as long as you have other like open-minded people around you. And it's easy, so easy to express unconditional love as long as others unconditionally love you. And often if a person doesn't pass the tolerant as me, or the open-minded as me, or the unconditionally loving as me, we then often respond with avoidance, and then if necessary, identifying that stranger, that other, as the opposition, or our enemy. Because enemies come in all shapes, all sizes, all personalities, all parties, all places. So Luke today might be pretty helpful in this little section we read of the larger Sermon on the Plain. Now, I know it might be easier to understand this lesson when someone isn't bellowing it from top of a mountaintop, because this sounds very similar to Matthew's Sermon on the Mount. But where Luke places this message is on plain, flat, easy to walk, offering a large, unobstructed view. We probably need that large, unobstructed view if we're going to be able to see the challenge we face and the joy that is possible in loving your enemies. Whatever the argument, the members of both sides may believe that they are standing up for Jesus and with love and justice and truth, but in truth they are actually each gathered at opposite sides out of a sense of fear and loathing of the other side. And the only direct way to face either fear or to face loathing altogether of the other is to love them, to do good to haters, to bring blessings to those who curse, to pray for your own abusers. That's what Jesus says. But is that what we do? Because he reminds us, it's so easy. Even sinners, he says, even sinners do these things. So what's it to you? It's easy to love those who are also looking out for your own best interests. It's easy to look and love those who are after your well-being. It's entirely different, though. Trying to love those who are actively seeking your destruction, your failure, your embarrassment, your shortcoming. It's easy to say it, love your neighbor, until you really have one that is seemingly unlovable, is practically unredeemable in your eyes, antagonistic, perhaps even a thief, or even a troublemaker. As someone says, you don't know my neighbor, Pastor. So we push and we shove, just like everyone else, just like all the other sinners do, to push past the obstacles of whoever's in place or whatever seems to be an obstacle to ourselves, whether it's real or imagined, blinding ourselves from any other way or any other means to gain the same goal and the same agenda that could be gained through more peaceful or creative means and alternatives. Yet through our pushing and through our shoving, we come to resent those who are resistant to us and who are also pushing and shoving, and a divide grows where then we gather together into our preferred groups, doing exactly what we have said we don't like to do. For our pushing and shoving is now made even more dangerous. Hatred cuts out all possible alternatives and all possibilities of peace. Through hatred's eyes and under its influences, hatred dehumanizes neighbors so quickly into unspeakable evil, manifested through the use of fertilizer truck bombs that killed daycare children, airplane cockpits that kill office workers, and other weapons of death. Hatred will always end up. Hatred always has this path. Hatred always ends up at this price. You lose yourself in its total insistence of complete destruction. You will lose your soul to it. Period. But we still feel the need to arm ourselves either physically or emotionally, either mentally or spiritually, out of this systemic sense of fear we all have that our enemy may actually have a valid reason or a valid answer, or out of the loathing that we may find out that our clear answer may not be as clear as we thought. Well, more often than we would care to really admit, Jesus' response to do good in the midst of our harm has been abandoned first, rather than even tried. Often a show of strength actually reveals the first symptoms of weakness. But vulnerability is just one of those nice sounding words that names something most of us would always like to avoid. But to love one's neighbor is to put yourself in a place of vulnerability and to seek the better in others rather than always seeking the return for yourself is the better path that Jesus is telling us to do, the better way. Not because it's wrong, because it's what God does all the time, constantly. Loves the unlovable, seeks the unredeemable, searches for those who are in opposition, and comes and speaks to each of them in love. The issue is, do we say what we do, and do we do what we say? Do we claim the conversation? Because perhaps the secret in diffusing the bomb that is hatred, the secret to diffusing the enemy, is not to weaponize fear and blame, but to rather listen. Listen. Listen, not to respond with your three-point criticism of their place, but listen in order to understand. Listen in order to see from their viewpoint. Because more often than not, what comes across as listening is listening to respond. I don't really need to listen to you. Your viewpoint's not important. And from that trajectory, we go down. Down that common road, that well-paved path of you are my enemy, and I have to stand against you. Jesus, the one who said that even if you say the Aramaic phrase raka, which kind of means idiot, you face the judgment. What would happen? What would be imagined if, instead of yelling idiot, instead of automatically condemning as them and those, instead of saying snowflakes, what if we love them? Now for some, and for some situations, let me advise this. Praying for your abuser does not mean the abuse is what God intended for you to go through. That's an absolute lie. And if you're in those situations, get out. You're not serving God by being the recipient of abuse. For those who encounter your enemy, because fear and blame wins elections, does it not? Does it not? All the time. Fear and blame. I have found in being nervous to meet a neighbor who I've seen some of their behavior, but not all of their behavior, that just saying hello and getting their name and hearing their story means we're getting somewhere. And maybe it's just a case of misunderstanding. Maybe it's just a case of really not listening, because maybe both sides have these solutions. And maybe there isn't an enemy here at all, but a friend to greet with righteous conversation. Do as I say, not as I do. Imagine if we did what Jesus said to do. I suspect there would be fewer El Pasos, fewer Daytons. I think there would be less rancor within these walls and beyond these walls. I suspect that people might see the very presence of God in our righteous conversations from friend